In the heart of the city, where skyscrapers kissed the clouds and the pulse of commerce thrummed like a relentless heartbeat, João stood confidently at the head of a polished boardroom table. The mid-afternoon sun streamed through the expansive windows, casting a warm glow that illuminated his sharp suit and the confident smile that danced on his lips. He spoke with a charisma that held his colleagues captive, articulating the company's latest strategies with an ease that belied the intricate machinations swirling in his mind. "We must adapt to the market's fluctuations," he declared, gesturing emphatically. "Innovation is key to our survival." The room buzzed with nods of agreement, but João's thoughts were elsewhere. Beneath his polished exterior lay a sinister plan, carefully crafted and meticulously rehearsed. He glanced at the clock, calculating how much time he had left before he needed to shift from this role of the diligent CEO to the loving husband who would soon charm his wife into a state of vulnerability. Later that evening, the atmosphere shifted as João and Maria arrived at their favorite restaurant, a cozy Italian bistro filled with the aromas of garlic and fresh basil. The warm, intimate lighting enveloped them, creating an ambience that was perfect for the evening he had planned. "You look beautiful tonight," João said, his voice smooth as silk. Maria, dressed in a flowing red dress that accentuated her warmth, beamed at the compliment, her heart swelling with affection. "Thank you. I wanted to make tonight special," she replied, her eyes sparkling with joy. "What's the occasion?" "Just us," João said, raising an eyebrow in a playful manner. "I've been thinking a lot about our future, and I want to ensure we're on the same page." He leaned forward, lowering his voice as if sharing a deep secret. "Lately, I've been worried about the company. The market is tough, and we need to be prepared for anything." Maria's smile faltered slightly, replaced by a flicker of concern. "What do you mean? I thought things were going well." "Exactly," João replied, feigning concern. "That's what worries me. We can't afford to be complacent." He continued to weave a narrative of uncertainty, skillfully planting seeds of doubt in her mind, while maintaining an air of loving support. As the night progressed, they shared a sumptuous meal, the wine flowing freely, each glass raising their spirits. João watched Maria closely, his heart racing not with love, but with the thrill of his impending scheme. He poured her another glass, his smile unwavering. "To us," he said, lifting his glass in a toast, his eyes flickering with a cold calculation. "To us," Maria echoed, clinking her glass against his, oblivious to the undercurrents of manipulation swirling around her. She took a generous sip, savoring the deep flavor of the wine, feeling the warmth spread through her. After dinner, they returned home, the intimacy of their surroundings enveloping them like a soft blanket. Maria hummed a tune as she moved about, her heart full of love, unaware of the storm brewing in João's mind. He leaned against the countertop, watching her with a mixture of affection and cold detachment. "Let's celebrate," she suggested, excitement bubbling in her voice. "I'll prepare a little something special for us. Why don't you sit down and relax?" João replied smoothly, his tone deceptively gentle. "I'll take care of everything." As Maria turned to the kitchen, João's gaze darkened momentarily, a flicker of impatience flashing across his face. He had to act quickly, but he masked it with a charming smile. "You've worked so hard, my love. You deserve this." She continued to bustle about, blissfully unaware of the predatory glint in his eye. João's mind raced as he envisioned the next steps in his plan, each moment drawing him closer to the execution of his deceit. Tonight was just the beginning, a carefully orchestrated performance that would lead them both down an unexpected path. "Maria," he called, his voice laced with warmth, "come here for a moment." She turned, her expression curious. "What is it?" "Just wanted to remind you how much you mean to me," he said, his tone sincere yet calculated. "Let's build our future together." As she smiled back, raising her glass once more, João allowed himself a fleeting moment of satisfaction. What she didn't know was that he had already begun to dismantle the very foundation of the life they had built together, and soon, the truth would unravel in ways she could never foresee. The following day dawned bright and clear, with sunlight spilling into the elegant hotel lobby as João and Maria entered hand in hand. The luxurious ambience was meant to sweep them into a world of indulgence and relaxation, a stark contrast to the hidden agendas swirling behind João's charming smile. Maria's eyes sparkled with excitement as she took in the opulent surroundings. "Oh, João, this is beautiful. I can't believe you planned this for us," she exclaimed, her voice filled with genuine delight. João's heart raced, but not for the reasons Maria might think. "I knew you needed a break from all the stress," he replied smoothly, his voice oozing with affection. "Let's make the most of it, shall we?" He led her to the elevator, where the soft music played a romantic tune, further setting the stage for his carefully laid plans. Once inside their lavish suite, Maria gasped at the breathtaking view of the city skyline. "It's perfect. Thank you so much," she said, throwing her arms around João. His facade of the loving husband remained intact, but inside, he was calculating, ready to execute the next stage of his scheme. That evening, they dressed for dinner, Maria in a stunning red dress that accentuated her beauty. João admired her with a blend of pride and contempt. "You look incredible," he said, his voice laced with feigned sincerity. "Let's celebrate." As they settled into a corner table at the hotel's upscale restaurant, João ordered a bottle of the finest wine, his demeanor charming and relaxed. "Here's to us," he said, raising his glass. "To our future." "To us," Maria replied, clinking her glass against his, blissfully unaware of the ulterior motives swirling just beneath the surface. The wine flowed, and with each sip, João masterfully guided the conversation, weaving in topics that would subtly plant seeds of doubt in Maria's mind about their company's future. "I've been thinking a lot about the direction of the business," he said, casually swirling the wine in his glass. "With the market being so unpredictable, we really need to be cautious. I worry about our investments." Maria frowned slightly, her brow furrowed in concern. "But I thought we were doing well. You've always been so confident about our growth." João leaned in, his voice lowering conspiratorially. "I just want to make sure we're prepared for any challenges. It's always better to be safe than sorry, right?" His charm was disarming, and Maria nodded, sipping more wine, trusting him completely. As the night progressed, João artfully encouraged Maria to drink more, his clever conversation distracting her from the fact that he had legal documents hidden in his briefcase, documents that could change everything. "Let's order dessert," he suggested, waving the waiter over. "You deserve something sweet after all the hard work you've put in." "Just a small piece of chocolate cake," Maria said, her laughter echoing through the restaurant, her inhibitions loosening with every glass. The dessert arrived, and she savored each bite, feeling light and carefree. "This is heavenly," she exclaimed, oblivious to the storm brewing in João's mind. "Glad you like it," he said, his smile never wavering. As the night wore on, João continued to charm her, planting more subtle doubts about her own capabilities, all while keeping the conversation flowing smoothly. "You know, Maria, if anything were to happen to me, it's important that you have control over the company, right? We wouldn't want anyone taking advantage of you, would we?" "Of course not," she replied, her voice slightly slurred but filled with trust. "I know you would never let that happen." "Exactly," João said, his heart racing with anticipation. "So why don't we sign a few papers tonight, just to ensure everything is in order? It'll be our little safety net." "Sure, if that's what you think is best," Maria replied, her thoughts clouding as the effects of the wine deepened. She felt a sense of security, believing she was merely reinforcing their bond. As the evening came to a close, João led her back to their suite, Maria leaning against him for support, giggling at nothing in particular. "What a fantastic night," she murmured, her eyes fluttering. João, however, was focused on the task at hand, the documents waiting ominously in his briefcase, a testament to his deceitful ambitions. He helped her onto the plush bed, her eyelids growing heavy. "Let's get some rest, my love. Tomorrow will be another beautiful day," he whispered, his voice a soft caress hiding the treachery looming in the shadows. With Maria blissfully unaware of the manipulation that had taken place, João smiled to himself, savoring the moment before the next phase of his plan unfolded. The morning sun filtered through the sheer curtains, casting a soft glow across the opulent hotel suite. Maria stirred, her head heavy and her mouth dry, a vague sense of confusion clouding her mind. As she blinked away the remnants of sleep, she turned to her side, where João lay propped against a mountain of plush pillows, his expression one of smug satisfaction. "Good morning, querida," he greeted, his voice smooth like the silk sheets beneath them. "Did you sleep well?" Maria frowned, her brow creasing as she tried to piece together the events of the previous night. I think so. But what happened? I don't remember much after dinner." João's smile widened, but there was something unsettling in his eyes, a flicker of triumph that sent a shiver down her spine. "Oh, we had a wonderful evening. You enjoyed the wine, didn't you? You were quite the charmer. In fact, I have a little surprise for you." He gestured to the small coffee table, where a stack of papers lay, illuminated by the morning light. Maria's heart raced as she noticed her signature scrawled across the top document. A knot formed in her stomach as uncertainty washed over her. "What are these, João?" "Just some paperwork I needed your approval on. You were so enthusiastic last night, I didn't want to waste the moment. You trust me, right?" "Of course, I trust you," Maria replied, her voice faltering as unease crept in. "But I don't remember signing anything. Are you sure it's all right?" "Absolutely." João chuckled lightly, though the sound felt brittle in the air. "It's all about our future, my love. I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that." His words were smooth, but Maria sensed something was off. "But I can't shake this feeling. It's like I should remember more." "Sweetheart, you're just feeling the effects of last night's indulgence," João replied, his tone dismissive. "Let's have breakfast, and I'll remind you of all the fun we had. You'll feel better, I promise." Maria forced a smile, the unease gnawing at her insides. As they sat down for breakfast, João filled the silence with stories of their past adventures, his laughter echoing off the walls while Maria struggled to push away the growing sense of dread. She took a sip of coffee, the bitter liquid doing little to clear her foggy mind. Later that afternoon, as they checked out of the hotel, João received a call from one of his business partners. Maria could hear the muffled voice on the other end, her husband's responses measured and cool. "No, everything is under control," he assured, though Maria could see the tension in his jaw, the way his fingers drummed against the steering wheel as they drove home. "Is everything okay?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. "Just a little business matter," João replied, flashing her a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Nothing for you to worry about." Maria bit her lip, the knot in her stomach tightening. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that everything was fine, but the unease lingered, buzzing like a persistent fly. As they arrived home, she glanced at the stack of documents she had signed, still lingering in her mind like an unanswered question. That evening, as they sat together in the dim light of their living room, Maria felt a sudden urge to confront her husband. "João, about those papers. I really don't remember signing them. Can you show me what they are?" He hesitated, the flicker of annoyance crossing his face. "I told you, Maria. It's nothing to worry about. Just trust me like you always have." "Trust is built on transparency," she replied, her voice firm. "I need to know what I agreed to. I deserve to know." João's expression hardened for a moment, a fleeting glimpse of the predator behind the facade. "You're overreacting. I'm looking out for us, for our future. You'll thank me later." As Maria watched him, she felt a wave of doubt wash over her. She had always admired João's confidence, his ability to charm and persuade. But now she found herself questioning everything. She had always regarded herself as his equal, but in that moment, she couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps he was hiding something significant. "Promise me you'll let me see the documents," she insisted, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Fine," he relented, his tone begrudging, "but you'll see, it's just a formality. Nothing to worry about." As he turned to fetch the papers, Maria's heart raced. She couldn't shake the feeling that the calm waters of their life together were about to be disturbed by a storm she had yet to comprehend. Days passed since that fateful night at the hotel, and Maria felt an unease settle within her. an unsettling whisper that something was not right. She had been busy with her daily routines, but the nagging sense of betrayal began to fester, gnawing at her heart. One afternoon, as she cleaned out a drawer in her home office, she stumbled upon the stack of documents João had brushed aside so casually. Her heart sank as she recognized the familiar signatures, her own scrawl, hastily written under the influence of wine and blind trust. "João," she called, her voice trembling slightly. She felt an icy grip of fear around her throat as she held the papers up. The words "transfer of ownership" leaped out at her, and the reality of what she was holding began to settle in like a heavy fog. "What is it, Maria?" João replied, emerging from the hallway with an air of nonchalance that only infuriated her further. "Why did you have me sign these?" she demanded, her voice rising. "This isn't just some paperwork about our future. This is about giving you everything we built together." João's expression shifted, and for a moment, she caught a glimpse of something darker behind his charming facade. "You're overreacting, sweetheart," he said, attempting to soothe her with a dismissive wave of his hand. "I was only looking out for our future. You know how volatile the market can be. I thought it best to secure our assets." "Secure our assets?" Maria echoed incredulously, her heart racing. "You mean secure your assets? You've been planning this behind my back, and I can't believe I let you do this to me." "Calm down," João said coolly, his tone shifting from charming to condescending. "You're being dramatic. Those documents ensure that everything we have stays in our family. Trust me, I know what I'm doing." "Trust you?" She shook her head in disbelief, tears stinging her eyes. "How can I trust you after this? You manipulated me, João." João stepped forward, his demeanor shifting to one of intimidation. "You need to remember who you're talking to. I'm the one who built this company from the ground up. You've always been supportive, but you've never been the one making the tough decisions." Maria felt fury rise within her, mixed with the pain of betrayal. "So, you think I'm just a supportive wife? Nothing more?" she spat. "You underestimate me, João. I've been there every step of the way, contributing just as much as you, if not more." As João began to pace the room, trying to regain control, Maria stood firm, her resolve hardening. "I won't let you take everything we built together without a fight." "Fight?" João scoffed, his eyes narrowing. "What do you think you can do? You signed the papers, Maria. It's legally binding." "Legally binding," she whispered, the weight of his words crashing down upon her. But something within her stirred, a flicker of hope ignited by the flames of her resolve. "I'll find a way to challenge this," she vowed, her voice steadying. "You may think you've won, but I refuse to let you walk all over me." "That's cute," he said with a sardonic smile, "but you don't know what you're up against." Maria's heart raced, but beneath the fear was an awakening strength. "I'll get legal advice. I'll do whatever it takes to understand what I've signed and what my rights are. You may have underestimated me, but I won't let you keep me in the dark." As she watched João's confidence begin to falter, she felt a surge of empowerment. She would not be a victim of his deceit any longer. Maria slipped away to her home office, her mind racing with possibilities. She researched legal options, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she sought to uncover every detail about the documents she had unwittingly signed. Later that evening, as she prepared dinner, she noticed João lurking in the doorway, watching her with a mixture of concern and irritation. "You're not still upset about those papers, are you?" he asked, trying to maintain an air of authority. "Upset?" Maria turned to face him, a determined glint in her eyes. "I'm not just upset, João. I'm done being your pawn. I will take back what's mine." "Good luck with that," he said, sarcasm dripping from his voice. "Just remember, I'm always one step ahead." But as the night deepened, Maria felt the embers of her determination growing into a blazing fire. She was ready to fight, ready to reclaim her place, not just in their home, but in the life they had built together. She wouldn't let him walk away unchallenged, and she would reveal the truth, no matter how long it took. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the living room, Maria sat at the dining table, surrounded by scattered papers and legal documents. The atmosphere was thick with tension. It was the eve of the trial, and her heart raced not with fear, but with determination. She had spent the entire day poring over every detail, every transaction, and every correspondence related to her husband's business. A sense of clarity had washed over her, illuminating the path she needed to take. João, meanwhile, paced restlessly in the adjacent room, his brow furrowed and his hands clenched into fists. The closer the trial approached, the more paranoid he became. He could sense Maria's newfound confidence, a stark contrast to the trusting wife he had manipulated so easily before. "I can't let her win," he muttered under his breath, glancing at the clock as if it could somehow slow down time. "Maria," he called, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Why don't we take a break? Let's order in and watch a movie. You need to relax." She looked up, her expression unreadable. "I can't, João. I need to prepare. This is important." He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You know that I'm doing this for us, right? All of this is to secure our future. You just don't understand." Maria met his gaze, unflinching. "No, João. I understand perfectly. You're trying to take everything from me, and I won't let that happen." He recoiled as if she had struck him. "You think you can win this? You have no idea what you're up against." "Maybe I don't," she replied, her voice steady. "But I'm not backing down. I've found support, and I have proof of my contributions to the company." João's eyes narrowed, a flicker of panic crossing his face. "Proof? What proof?" "Friends who know what I've done. They're willing to testify, and I've uncovered some documents that might surprise you," she said, her tone sharp and defiant. "Documents?" he echoed, feigning nonchalance, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. "You're bluffing, Maria. You've always been good at that." "No, João. This time, I'm not bluffing." With that, Maria turned back to her papers, resolutely ignoring him. Inside, she felt a storm of emotions swirling: fear, anger, and a newfound resolve. She had spent years sidelined in her own life, but not anymore. She opened a folder, revealing a series of documents that detailed financial discrepancies in the company, evidence of João's past deceptions, hidden transactions that would expose his treachery. "Where did you get those?" João's voice was dangerously low now, his facade cracking. She glanced at him, a smile playing on her lips. "You taught me to be resourceful, remember? You thought I wouldn't notice the discrepancies? I've been tracking them all along." "Maria, listen to me," he said, stepping forward, desperation seeping into his voice. "You're making a mistake. You don't know what this will do to our family." "Family?" she scoffed, rising from her seat. "You destroyed that the moment you tried to erase me from our company. This isn't about family. It's about power for you. But I will not let you take what I've built, what we've built together." João's face contorted in anger and disbelief. "You think you can stand against me? I've built this company from the ground up. You're nothing without me." "Actually, I am everything," she countered, her voice ringing with conviction. "I've been the backbone of this company, João. I've managed finances, handled clients, and kept this place running smoothly while you basked in the glory." He stepped back, visibly shaken. "You're lying." "No, I'm not. And tomorrow, I will prove it in that courtroom," she declared, her eyes blazing with the fire of her determination. "You may have thought I was naive, but you underestimated me. I will reclaim my rights, João, and I promise you, the truth will come out." As the tension hung in the air, João's expression shifted from anger to a semblance of desperation. "Maria, please." But she was done listening. With one last look at the man she thought she knew, she turned away and focused on her preparations, her heart resolute. Tomorrow would be a new beginning, a chance to not only reclaim her life, but also to expose the man who had betrayed her trust. The courtroom was tense, the air thick with anticipation as the judge settled into position. Maria, dressed in a tailored suit that exuded both professionalism and determination, felt her heart race. She had rehearsed her speech countless times, yet the gravity of the moment still sent shivers down her spine. João sat across the aisle, his usual confidence replaced by a palpable unease. His meticulously crafted facade was beginning to crack, and Maria could see the flicker of fear in his eyes. "Your Honor," Maria began, her voice steady, "I stand before you today not just as a wife, but as a business partner who has been systematically undermined by my own husband." She glanced at the jury, their expressions a mix of curiosity and sympathy. "For years, I managed the company's finances, a role that João has tried to erase from our shared history." The judge leaned forward, intrigued. "Could you elaborate on your contributions to the company, Ms. Maria?" "Certainly," she replied, her confidence growing as she produced a series of documents from a folder on the table beside her. "These financial reports illustrate my management of the company's accounts, budgeting, and strategic investments. While João presented himself as the sole leader, I was the one ensuring our financial stability." As she spoke, she could see João's jaw tighten, his face flushing with anger. "Your Honor," João interjected, his voice laced with desperation. "This is absurd. Maria has always been supportive, but never directly involved in any financial decisions." "Supportive?" Maria echoed, incredulous. "João, you've painted a picture of me as merely a bystander. But I was the one who negotiated contracts, who kept the books, and who developed key business relationships. Without my contributions, the company would not be where it is today." The judge raised an eyebrow, his interest piqued. "Do you have evidence to substantiate these claims?" Maria nodded, retrieving a series of spreadsheets and correspondence that illustrated her role in the company's growth. "These emails document my communications with clients and vendors, as well as my analyses of our financial strategies. I kept meticulous records, all while you manipulated the narrative to suit your agenda." The courtroom fell silent as she laid out her evidence, each document a dagger that pierced through João's deception. She caught a glimpse of her friends in the audience, their supportive nods bolstering her resolve. "I also have testimonials from colleagues who can attest to my input and influence in our business operations," she added, her voice unwavering. João shifted uncomfortably in his seat, the very foundation of his carefully constructed deceit crumbling before him. "This is all a fabrication," he shot back, desperation rising in his voice. "You're trying to steal what's rightfully mine." Maria shook her head, her expression resolute. "What's rightfully yours, João? You've manipulated me, undermined our partnership, and sought to erase my contributions to our life's work. The documents I signed under duress do not reflect my true intentions or the reality of our partnership." The judge motioned for order in the courtroom, and the murmurs quieted. "Ms. Maria, you've made a compelling case," he acknowledged. "However, Mr. João, do you have anything to counter these claims?" João opened his mouth, but the words caught in his throat. The reality of the situation was dawning on him. He was no longer the puppet master, but rather a pawn in a game he thought he had complete control over. I was just trying to protect our family," he stammered, his voice weak. "Protect our family?" Maria reiterated incredulously. "By betraying me? By stealing our future together? Family is built on trust, and you shattered that trust when you sought to deceive me." The judge's gavel struck, and he called for order once more. "It seems the evidence presented today paints a starkly different picture than what was initially presented. I will take this information into consideration and deliver a verdict shortly." As the courtroom began to clear, Maria felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had stood her ground, and for the first time, she felt the strength of her resolve. João's expression was one of disbelief and fury, but deep down, she knew justice would prevail, and their shared home and company would soon reflect the truth of their partnership. Maria had reclaimed her narrative, and with it, her power.